And we're live. My crazy cat jumping on a plant. How's it going, y'all? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. February 7th. It is Wednesday, I think. I don't know. I always struggle with Wednesday. I don't know what me and Wednesday's issue is, but for some reason, Wednesday's a confusing day for me. I'm like, is it Tuesday or is it Thursday? The answer is no. It's Wednesday. I don't know why. Wednesday's an odd day. Do y'all have an odd day? Am I just weird? Don't answer that. Do not answer that. We got a quote of the day submitted by M. Swain. M. Swain. It says, a fool learns from his own mistakes, and a wise man learns from a fool's mistake. But that wise man was once a fool. You can't get away from it. You can't get away from being a fool. It reminds me of, I think it was Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn said something along the lines of successful seminars, classes, workshops should all be led by folks he calls failures, which I could argue with that, but failures, quote, quote. So he said, tell us how you did it. Right. Tell us how to do it. A fool learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from a fool's mistake. But that wise man, well, he was once a fool.
You are not your past. You're you. You're you right now. Like the past you might have done some things you wish you hadn't done. Don't dwell on that. You learn from it, that's fine, but don't dwell on it. Just keep moving. Keep moving. Use it as fuel. Say never again. I get what I did wrong, but don't think that you're that person that made those mistakes. You're the person who's learned. You are not.
Good morning and welcome to #Rise and Grind, the #1 morning show in the world filled with motivation, education, and inspiration. I am your host, Glenn Lundy, husband to 1, father to 8, and the founder of the 800% Club, the club designed to help you unlock your full potential. Each episode is filled with celebrity interviews, inspiring conversations, and the strategies you need to get ahead in your career and your life. So grab your pen and turn up the volume because it's time to rise and grind.
What's going on, family? What's going on? 5:30 a.m. live. Here we are once again, episode, 1300 and something. It's insane. Wow. Glenn Lundy is in Vegas. Not hanging out, not partying it up. The man is working. That's right. Working the conferences, working the networking, doing his thing. My name's Heather Parady. I'm here filling in for him while he's gone. And we have a big day coming up. Super Bowl Sunday. Let's go 49ers. What's going on? It's also the launch day of Legacy Titles written by Glenn Lundy. If you have not pre-ordered that, it's over on Amazon. Incredible book. There's also an audio version, which me and Michael Cirillo got the opportunity to be on, and there's a lot of jokes, a lot of laughter on that one, as you can imagine. But again, Legacy Titles this Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. How are y'all? How are y'all doing? How's your week going? How you feeling this morning, family? How you feeling, replay viewers? My cat's feeling good. He's literally, I think, on drugs right now. Like, he has that crazy look in his eye, and he's pouncing everywhere. So it's likely you're going to see a little performance here by my cat. It is also Wave All Your Fingers at Your Neighbor Day. Wave all your fingers. I don't need one finger. I don't need two. I need all your fingers waved at your neighbor because they deserve it. Don't be holding back on people, y'all. Don't hold back.
It's time for our daily holiday this morning, and we're marking Wave All Your Fingers at Your Neighbor's Day today. You told me to highlight all.
Yeah, that's right. And
what is this?
Please check out this wonderful graphic our director Arturo made. So this is a goofy one, so I'm going to explain it for you. The creators of Wave All Your Fingers at Your Neighbor's Day only had this to say about it.
Okay.
After all the challenges we and our neighbors have faced, it's time to put it all aside for at least one day.
Okay.
So wave hello to everybody and mean it. Now, the day's name gives the impression that sometimes people wave at their neighbors only using some of their fingers, if you know what I mean. And you can see here, I've got all 5 of mine up waving to Jen.
Oh,
Not just one. Yeah. So celebrate the day by waving and saying hello to all of your neighbors. And it's especially important to wave to the ones you don't like because, you know, today is just about being sincere. So it's your neighbor, just wave hello.
Hey, neighbor. Hey, neighbor.
That took a turn. Y'all weren't ready for that, were you? Wave all your fingers at your neighbor's day because you're not just going to give them selective fingers. Because it is time to put aside our differences, my friend, and wave all your fingers. Isn't life interesting? Aren't people interesting? The things that we come up with. Listen, this week we are talking about catching stars, dreams and aspirations. How many folks in here can honestly say that they have let go of some of their dreams, some of their aspirations for a variety of reasons? Logic, life, tragedy, addiction, inconvenience. Talking about dreams and aspirations, man, it's exciting. And like I said yesterday, / can get really dark because what happens, especially when you settle into life a little bit, is there can be a lot of regret, a lot of remorse, a lot of, well, I missed the boat, right? It's too late for me. I don't know if y'all feel that way, have felt that way. There's a really interesting theory I want to share with you guys today that I read about. But first, let's hear from this dude. I don't know this dude's name. Let's
What
talk
is
to
a
him.
big mistake that you've made or a big regret that you have that has taught you a very valuable lesson in life?
Right now, I'm in a job that I absolutely loathe because I wanted to be an actor. That was my dream since I was in like elementary school. I was in all the school plays, and I had a modicum of success like when I was in my late teens, early 20s. I was on a few TV shows, and I was like sort of almost like on the cusp of like making it. I guess I got scared, and it was like, you know, I need to work. I need to support myself, obviously. I was the quintessential starving artist. I was sleeping on friends' couches. I was bartending. I was a server, doing what I had to do so I can go on auditions during the day. And I kind of like gave up on that dream and got like the typical corporate 9-to-5 job. And that's my biggest regret in my life. All I've ever wanted to do was be an actor. And now I have some lame corporate job, and it's like, yeah, I can pay my rent and whatever, live, but I'm not, you know, what is the point at the end of the day? You recognize that time is so short. The most precious commodity all of us humans have is time. You can't get back time. That's the only one thing that you can't get back or get more of.
There's this man named Stephen Pressfield, and he wrote this book called The War of Art. Now, don't get hung up on the art part. Mostly, this book is about resistance and how resistance is sneaky. It's a sneaky little sucker, and it shows up in different ways in our life to keep us back from the thing that we're called to do. And one of the things that he presents, this is pretty crazy, is this idea of shadow professions, which sounds kind of scary. And I'm going to paraphrase here, but the idea of a shadow profession is it's usually adjacent to, parallel to what you really wanted, right? And it's a way of us resisting the harder thing because at least we can use the excuse sometimes that it's similar to. Isn't that wild? It's so wild. Another thing that he talks about is how, and what we're going to present today, which is crazy and kind of deep and kind of heavy, and we'll shake it off in just a second, I promise, because I know it's 5:40 and we want no seriousness up in here, but that sometimes unrealized, unpursued dreams, aspirations, callings can manifest through, well, let Stephen tell you.
And I think we're all born, absolutely all born with some kind of a destiny. And, you know, just I want to say one thing about what you were talking about addictions, Frank. I think that to me, And again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't take, but when looked at from the point of view of resistance, anytime you see somebody having an addiction, and I've had my own versions of these, that is that energy, creative energy, being channeled in the wrong way. It's like a shadow career. But the good news of it is that energy that's going into the addiction, and it's a tremendous amount of energy, right? I mean, just to score whatever illegal substances you have, or whatever it is. If somebody's got that energy, that's a tremendous sign. If they could only, it's better than having no energy. It's maybe it's a negative thing, but at least it's a powerful negative thing. So if somebody, I think there's really no way, I don't think, to kick an addiction unless that energy gets channeled into something else. Because that energy is not going to go away. And so the question is, what is your dream? What is it that you really want to do? What is it that you're really afraid of? That you're afraid of doing, that you're afraid of failing at, or afraid of succeeding at? And I think most people will have that answer like that. They'll cover it over, they'll make excuses for it, but they'll know it right like that. And I don't think you can get out of a negative flow unless you get into a positive.
I don't know. That's kind of deep. Dang. We're just dreams and aspirations, catching stars. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that cute? No, y'all. No, man. Because what's so crazy about it is when you start pursuing something in the light, there's a shadow that's cast sometimes. And sometimes that shadow is super, super dark. And sometimes it's hard. And sometimes there's a lot of resistance. I don't know about y'all, but, whenever I sometimes talk to people about like, oh, what do you really want to do with your life? What do you feel drawn to? There's sometimes like this annoyance with people, but they're like, life. Look at my cat. Did you see that? That cat is following its dreams. It's a ninja warrior. Wow. He just flew over my head. But sometimes people kind of get this weird thing, and it's so sad to me because there's almost, again, this bitterness. But there's a lot of hope here. A lot of hope, because this is a wild thing to think about. And I know we're going deep already at 5:43, but I'm just in the mood. I woke up. Sometimes you wake up and you're silly. Sometimes you wake up and you want to talk about the shadow. We'll shake it off in a second. But this is a really interesting perspective of when things get dark, when you have a lot of resistance. Instead of feeling guilt and shame, there's another way of looking at this.
I do have a rule that I have learned and that I believe, and that is that the stronger the resistance that you feel, the more important it is that you do that, whatever it is you.
Yeah, talk a little
resisting.
bit about that more, because that's really powerful.
If we imagine that this is our dream, our novel, our startup, or whatever it is, the dream is some sort of unfolding of who you are, revealing like a flower blooming, revealing what's there. And we set it out in the sunshine on a field or a flat thing like this, immediately a shadow is going to fall from this thing. This is the dream, and resistance is the shadow. So the shadow is exactly proportionate to the dream, so that if it's a big dream, it's going to be a big shadow. So in other words, the more resistance I feel to something, the more certain I can be that there's a big dream there and that I've got to do it. Whatever the pain is, that's life to get to there. But
Y'all catch that? Did you catch that? The bigger the dream, the bigger the shadow. The bigger the dream, the bigger the shadow. So if there's a lot of resistance, a lot of conflict, a lot of friction, man, what is that shadow representing? Right? A calling on your life, something powerful that you have to give, a destiny that you have. Isn't that cool? What a cool thought, Stephen Pressfield. Thank you for that. Let's go. See, my cat even laid down. He's just like, I'm done. Let's just jab it out. Speaking of jabbing and dabbing and all those things, it's the time of the morning where you move a little bit, dance all about, swing your partner round and round, all those things. It's time to dance. Time to say good morning to one another. Listen, if you are new around here and you're like, holy beep, 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 What's going on? What's going on? This is what's going on, y'all. Every morning, 5:30, we believe the way you start your day will absolutely change your life. We're here to build community first and foremost. So this is an opportunity for you to jump in the comments and say hello. Somebody the other day said, how do you engage? And I just said, say hello. Say good morning. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. If you really want to go in deep, if you really want to be gangster, you drop an emoji. You do that. All right? So I'm going to say good morning to you. Say good morning to one another. If you feel so inclined, you can share this out. What's going on? Pastor Jeff, I almost called you Dr. Jeff. Dr. Jeff just about came out of my mouth. Are you a doctor? Maybe this is a sign. Pastor Jeff over on YouTube. We have Dana, we have Ryan, we have Christina Howard. What's going on, family? Who else we got in here? We got Dora Marie. Hello, good to see you. Trish, what's going on over on Facebook? We have Burns Linnell, we have Jacqueline, we have Tony, we have Don Sankey, of course. We have Emily. What's going on, Emily? Good to see you. Kimberly Hatfield, we have Robin, we have Vicky Everett, of course, dropping the emojis like she don't even care. Mary Lynn, we have Gail, good morning, good to see you. Michelle, I think I saw Tommy Worsham in here, which is amazing human being. Catherine, good to see you. Archie, ooh, y'all. And of course, I'm not gonna forget you. We have Milo, the cat, over here, gonna make some guest appearances as we talk about dreams, aspirations. Let's go. Touching stars, dreams and aspirations. What have your dreams and aspirations changed over the past year?
Oh, over the past year?
Just this year.
I spent the last 4 years trying to acquire clients for my business. Or I spent, 4 years. And then in the last year, I have, instead of just having a company that's adding clients, my dream and aspiration is to build a company that creates an amazing experience that is incredibly impactful across the board, with the ability to almost remove the necessity of the client themselves having to do all of the work, which I know sounds crazy. But for 4 years, it's like, come be my client, and then I teach you, and then I'm like, now go do it.
Yeah.
And then when you don't go do it, I'm like, but I showed you how to do it, and I told you how to do it, where aren't you doing it, right? Oh, well, this.
Right.
So we've been focused on creating a machine that it's like, here's how to do it, and once it's in place, even if you choose not to keep doing it, we can still drive success for you in your business.
That's wild.
It's way up there, but it makes us rethink everything that we do. Typically, consulting is you guide, they do the work. I want to figure it out how we can guide and have them do as little work as possible and still get massive results.
Would you have had that dream and aspiration without the success before?
No.
See, I think that's what's interesting. These dreams and aspirations evolve as we do.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. It's always changing. It's rapidly changing. And that's what makes it exciting, right?
Right.
Like, once it's almost like unlocking or maybe a spider web or maybe a dartboard, however you want to look at it. Like, there's levels. You start kind of out here, and then once you solve that, you go to the next thing. And then once you solve that, you go to the next thing. Once you solve that, you go to the next thing. Each time you're solving, you're getting closer and closer to like the jackpot.
That's just it. I think that also gives us like permission. Here he goes again on the phone.
Dude, this guy. It's been 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks, and he's still on the phone. Literally, look. Oh, he's getting out. Look. He's.
In a previous conversation we had, you said something that really rung in my mind, which is that many people who become addicted to things have this feeling that normal life isn't interesting enough?
I think that life for humans has always been hard, but I think that now it's harder in unprecedented ways. And I think that the way that life is really hard now is that it actually is really boring. And the reason that it's boring is because all of our survival needs are met. I mean, we don't even have to leave our homes to meet every single physical need, as long as you're of a certain level of financial well-being. If you look at leisure time, for example, so people without a high school education have 42% more leisure time than people with a college degree. My point here is that life is hard now in this really weird way, in that we don't really have anything that we have to do. So we're all forced to make stuff up, whether it's being a scientist or being an Olympic athlete or, climbing Mount Everest. And people really vary in their need for friction. And some people need a lot more than others. And if they don't have it, they're really, really unhappy. And I do think that a lot of the people that I see with addiction and other forms of mental illness are people who need more friction. Like, they're unhappy, not necessarily because there's something wrong with their brain, but because their brain is not suited to this world. What's so pervasive in our narrative now is like, find your passion, and in a way that's good because it has people out in the world and seeking. But in a way, it can also be misleading in the sense that I think people aren't entirely aware that the world is a hard place and that life is hard and that we're all kind of making it up. To me, one of the most significant findings in neuroscience in the last 75 years is that pleasure and pain are co-located, which means the same parts of the brain that process pleasure also process pain. And they work like a balance. So when we feel pleasure, our balance tips one way. When we feel pain, it tips in the opposite direction. And one of the overriding rules governing this balance is that it wants to stay level. So it doesn't want to remain tipped very long to pleasure or to pain. And with any deviation from neutrality, the brain will work very hard to restore a level balance, or what scientists call homeostasis. And the way the brain does that is with any stimulus to one side, there will be a tip in equal and opposite amount to the other side.
It's like the principal laws of physics.
Yes, right, right. So I like to watch YouTube videos. When I watch YouTube videos of American Idol, it tips to the side of pleasure. And then when I stop watching it, I have a come down, right, which is a tip to the equal and opposite amount on the other side. And that's that moment of wanting to watch one more YouTube video. And here's really the key. If I keep indulging again and again and again, ultimately, I have so much on the pain side, right, that I've essentially reset my brain to what we call like an anhedonic or lacking in joy type of state, which is a dopamine deficit state. The way in which pain can become the main driver is because I've indulged so much in these high reward behaviors or substances that my brain has had to compensate by way down regulating my own dopamine, such that even when I'm not doing that drug, I'm in a dopamine deficit state, which is akin to a clinical depression. I have anxiety, irritability, insomnia, dysphoria, and a lot of mental preoccupation with using again or getting the drug. And so that's the piece there. There's the single use, which easily passes, but it's the chronic use that can then reset really our dopamine thresholds, and then nothing is enjoyable. So I think that is really what I want people to tune into and get an awareness around, because once you tune into it, you can see it a lot. And then when you begin to see it, I think it gives people kind of a way to imagine what they're experiencing on a neurobiological level and understand it. And in that understanding, get some mastery over it, which is really what this is all about.
That's kind of deep. You weren't ready for some science, man, this morning. I think this is where my mind's going, and I want to hear from you. Maybe you can tell me I'm crazy. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. I'm just thinking about, man, some of the negative stuff that shows up in our life, the habits, the addictions, the things we get frustrated with ourselves about. What is the deeper issue really there? What's really going on? I think this idea that she presented that we live in especially I'm speaking to Western folks who have all their basic needs met. I mean, this is a generalized statement, but man, we were wired for a little more. We were wired for a little more than what we're experiencing. And it's interesting how maybe we can compensate with that, with trying to figure out friction in other areas. Or maybe, like Stephen Pressfield said, maybe some of the friction we're experiencing is unrealized dreams. It's us shifting our energy in one way because we're avoiding putting energy in something else because it's scary. There's just more going on that sometimes meets the eye. And it's really cool to get still and start practicing connection with God, self-awareness of like, man, what's the real issue? Because maybe it's not that I'm bad. Maybe it's I don't have enough willpower. Maybe it's that I'm failing. Other people are better than me and I just suck at life. Maybe there is a deeper energetic issue going on that can be resolved, that can be shifted, that can be adjusted. Because I don't know about y'all, I believe in hope. I believe things can change. I'm living proof things can change. My dad in this thing is living proof that things can change. Glenn Lundy, if you've heard his story, things can change, things can shift, things can adjust, right? It's not too late. A little bit deep. Tarika says, hiding and listening under the covers. Was it that scary? Was it that scary today? We're going to end a little bit early. Got 3 minutes left so you can get to the gym, get your journaling on, get your gratitude game on. That's it. Tomorrow, Thursday, we'll be here bright and early, 5:30 a.m. Love you guys. Have a great day. Bye.
So far away, I saw you not so long ago. Was it just yesterday? Got that old feeling that I know. In the dark of the night, I'll be alright. The sun will arise.